Have you ever felt like prying eyes are watching you as you surf the internet or log on to various social networks? Well, it's probably because they are, at least according to our guest today, who says not only are they watching you, but they're also collecting your personal information that can be later used against you. I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining me now is Lori Andrews, author of I Know Who You Are and I Saw What You Did, Social Networks and the Death of Privacy. Welcome, Lori. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm delighted to be here, Spencer.
So first of all, let me just say that this book does a great job of raising awareness about online privacy. I mean, really, is that the reason why you wrote it?
Absolutely. I had no idea until I started researching it that dictionary.com puts 233 tracking mechanisms on your computer when you look up a word. That increasingly people's online self is more important than their offline self. And 75% of companies now require their HR officials to look at what you are online before offering you a job.
To look at what you're doing online and then the second self that is built online, correct?
Yes. And so, think of poor Ashley Payne, 24-year-old school teacher. She hadn't friended any of her students or any of their parents. She went to Ireland on a summer vacation, posted a picture of herself having a beer at the Guinness factory, and lost her job as a result. Increasingly, judgments are being made against us, and we might know, hey, maybe I shouldn't post that drunken hot tub picture.
Right.
But people don't realize that even something like a smiling photo might be used against them. One woman was hurt in a workplace accident, had 4 spinal surgeries, and a judge actually said she couldn't have been that hurt if her MySpace photo showed her smiling. Didn't even ask whether the picture was from before the accident or not. So this is being looked at as the real self, and and people are losing custody of their children because they posted a custody picture.
This to me is fascinating because I think we all understand that when we join Facebook and other social networks that maybe some of the information we disclose will be used by advertisers to better target ads, but to have that information used to sort of adversely affect us, I think is incredible.
Yeah, people don't realize that their email over Gmail is scanned. So if I over Gmail say to a friend, I'm thinking of getting a divorce, or if I do a Google search for old guitars, and then I go to a credit card site, I might be offered a less good credit card because people getting divorces or who are in garage rock bands tend not to pay their bills.
Wow, but who's scanning this information?
There are algorithms for the companies. I mean, Google makes $36 billion a year. 96% of their income is based on using your private information to match you to advertisers. And people think, oh, I love getting the 10% off coupon, or I'm finding out where my favorite band is playing. But they don't realize that information can be used in negative ways. I write mysteries in addition to nonfiction books. I Google things like date rape drugs and so forth. Whole criminal cases have been based on people's Google searches.
So, I mean, it's data aggregators are collecting this information, and it's not just about people who are on social networking sites like Facebook or Twitter. It's just anybody is vulnerable and anybody is at risk if you're using the internet.
Absolutely. So say you do a search for the side effects of a medication. It may not even be for you. You're doing it for your friend or your grandmother. Then you go on a life insurance site. You might not be able to get life insurance because you have looked for that information, or you've looked at certain websites. And people think, well, I'll clean up my Facebook page. I'll take down incriminating photos when I go looking for a job. But some companies actually keep the last 7 years worth of public Facebook information, and their business model is to sell that information to employers. And I've seen some of the reports that have come out of one company called Social Intelligence Corporation. So if you had an underage drinking photo 6 years ago in college, they will mark it as illegal activity, and the potential employer will just get a report that said you've behaved illegally. Or one guy on Craigslist was trying to organize an effort to legalize marijuana. That was marked as illegal activity and sent to the employer.
Well, and so there are going to be some folks, Lori, who say, all right, I get it. They're collecting information about me, but I really don't care. So what do you say to those folks who don't care? Why should they care?
Well, they may not care because they just don't know that it might mean the difference between getting a job or not, getting a credit card or not, or keeping custody of your children or not. A sexy photo on MySpace for a woman could lose her custody of her children. And courts are looking into things now like, is a dad a bad dad? Should he lose his kids because he liked the viral video of Burger King shooting Ronald McDonald in the face? So
Well,
everywhere you go on the web now is coming into court cases. And it's turning the legal system upside down. In one case, a criminal case, a juror actually posted the facts of the case on Facebook and asked people to vote up or down
yes, I
about whether to
remember
put this
reading that,
person
which I thought
in
was crazy.
jail.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that, you increasingly you are what you post. And so you might not think about it now, but there might be later decisions in your life about custody cases, about divorce, about criminal activities. Los Angeles, the LAPD charges kids with gang activity if they're wearing gang colors on their Facebook or MySpace page. Well, I looked up the list of gang colors. Plaid. Think any hipster.
Yeah, everybody wears plaid. I wear plaid even. So.
Yeah, all black. And so you can be discriminated against in ways that it's hard to fight against. Because unlike things like, credit bureaus who might give a credit score of yours to a company when you're looking for a loan or a credit card, the data aggregators who are selling information about you don't have to tell you that that's why you were turned down for a job. They don't have to let you correct it if they have out-of-date information. One poor guy can't get a job because his dad has his same name. The dad who's deceased had a mugshot up from when he was younger for a simple misdemeanor. But now the person with the same name doesn't even get a job because of this other information that had been about his dad. Employers are asking for your password to your Facebook page in order to look at the private side of what you do. Maryland has passed a law against it, but other states are still trying to catch up with that.
Well, and some of this you defined as weblining in the book, which is akin to redlining, which I think many people may know, but can you explain weblining a bit more?
Yeah, so redlining was when banks drew red lines on maps around poor areas that they said we're not going to invest in. And they were usually, lower income, they were people of color. Well, now the map that they use is on the web. It's your travels on the web. What did you look at? Did you look at a gun site? Well, maybe we shouldn't hire you. Did you put in a search for hand tremors? Well, maybe we shouldn't give you insurance. So all these bits of information. I mean, think of how many things you reveal in a day. Your political beliefs. Do you like your dad or do you hate your daughter? And, your sexual preferences. All this stuff comes up. And one security analyst said, if the government tried to get that information, it would take money, it would take lawyers, it might even take guns.
Well,
but we cough it up every day to the internet.
Well, and so you call it a second self, which is a virtual interpretation of yourself. Is there any way to create a fake second self? Are you able to sort of outsmart data aggregators here?
Well, I love it that Google dashboard thinks I'm a 45-year-old man because instead of getting, manicure things, which I would never go to, I get like skydiving offers and things like that. It's cool. It's very, very hard though because all it takes is 3 pieces of information. I mean, I might be searching for certain medical conditions, but they can link it to me because who else is looking on Amazon to see how my book is going, or who else is doing a Google map for my home address? So you have 2 other pieces of information from my computer, and you can link me to anything else I do on the web. So it's very hard to pass on the web anymore.
So to protect us and to protect our privacy, you offer or propose almost sort of a Bill of Rights, a best practices called the Social Network Constitution. What does it entail?
Yeah, I propose, as you said, a Bill of Rights about freedom of expression and right to privacy and ways in which people can be protected. And I think the most important one is to have people informed before their data is collected and have a right to opt out.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the articles, because I wanted to ask you, how practical do you think your social network constitution is? Because one of the article actually says each individual shall have control over his or her image from a social network, including over the image created by data aggregation. So, I mean, that actually goes to the very heart of the business model for Facebook and some of these other social networking sites. So how likely is it that it will be implemented?
I think that one of the things is that people don't realize that it's going on. And when they find out that companies are making money by selling private information about their health conditions and so forth, they really get annoyed. Think, in any other area, we have a do not call law. Now, various people in Congress
Do not track.
are talking about do not track. I should be able to opt in. If I want coupons from a certain place, I should be able to choose that, as opposed to every move I make on the web being monitored. Nebuad was a company in California, actually made a deal with internet service providers to put hardware on it. And so for 400,000 people, they collected everything they entered on the internet. And it might be your social security number, your credit card number. I mean, do you really want all that stuff in the hands of someone who you don't even know about and who may not protect you adequately? So there are lots of concerns about the wild frontier that social networks are right now.
So why propose a constitution? Do you think the do not track proposal or other online proposals that are sitting in Congress now, do you think they go far enough?
I think that we need to have this reach to every level, Congress, judges, but also people who are buying the technologies. Most people didn't realize that their, smartphones actually had a digital tag on it when they posted photos that gave location. So what happened was there was cyber casing. A woman gets engaged, posts a picture of her big engagement ring, robbers come and
Right.
They know exactly where to go.
Stake her out.
And so I want everybody thinking about this, not just people in Congress. Before you buy something, before you get on a particular website, figure out what's going to be done to you as a result.
So what do you say to critics who say that regulating this area, regulating the internet, would only stifle innovation?
I think that what I'm seeing now is people starting to privilege privacy and developing new techniques that it's a whole new business model of being able to protect you, to be able to search in incognito mode and so forth. And so what are we actually stifling? Do I really need to pay Facebook $3 billion a year, which is what they make off of my private information, to have a way to communicate with my friends? Surely I can think of some great 20-something who could have a business model that maybe would only cost me $100 million a year. And so I think in terms of protecting privacy, we may see a lot of other innovation. And, there are ways in which, we are privileging the advertising companies, the marketers, but maybe I would prefer them to be, marketing in the newspapers so the New York Times can have bureaus all around the globe instead of secretly taking my private information and marketing in that way.
So instead of stifling innovation, you think it would make it more competitive?
I think so. I think that in terms of what I'm seeing patent-wise and so forth, there's even someone who's created a system where when these data aggregators try to look at your profile on the web, it sends fake information back.
Oh, wow.
So I mean,
so that's sort of
we all may be
outsmarting the
carrying
data aggregators.
And so, I mean, this may be, like the best of Cold War spying. We'll see things in encryption. We'll see things in features of your mobile devices. I mean, I think it's tragic that when a Pennsylvania school gave out free laptops to all students, they didn't tell the students or their parents that the school could turn on the camera when these laptops were in the kids' bedrooms, and they took 50,000 pictures.
I remember that, and
students.
The IS department said that it was a little soap opera.
Yeah, just watching
town.
you. And so, do you really want that? I think people have very, very deep concerns about privacy, and
that
this
leads
is important.
me to my next question, because I heard someone say that social networks are unthinking erosions of personal privacy, but I don't think it's unthinking. The truth of the matter is that people care less about their privacy nowadays than they used to. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think they just don't realize they're ceding over their privacy. A lot of people think, since the setup on Facebook is you have to friend people, they unwittingly think only their friends can see what they post. And initially, Facebook actually said, we are only going to give your information to those people you designate. And then in 2009, they made people's friends public to tragic results, because Americans who were critical of the Iranian government had friends and relatives in Tehran, and when their pictures became public, those guys were arrested and beat up. So even something simple as publicizing your friends. So I think that I mean, the 52-year-old school teacher who got fired because she called her students germ bags and she had gotten like 6 illnesses from them in a year, thought she was talking to her 20 friends. She had no idea that parents could look on. And I was shocked. The Pew Center for Research on Internet and Privacy actually found that younger people, 18 to 30, value their privacy more, which totally went against sort of Mark Zuckerberg saying, privacy, get over it, in a way.
So it's really because of the lack of awareness you'd think that people might not care so much about their privacy.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say the book does a great job, like I said in the beginning, of raising awareness. So thank you for writing it, and thank you for being here to talk about it.
Oh, I'm honored to be here.
For more information on this or other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Yes, we're on it. Thank you for joining us today. Bye, everybody.